Question 2. How is silence governed? What are factors that influence the silence of the human mind? Answer. Silence is Maya or illusion. Maya is arbitrary, mutative, and so the silence is never permanent. It changes with time, space and causation. Maya is awareness, and so the relative silence is awareness. Being aware and fully vigilant, one can save himself from falling down from a state of relative mental silence. However, absolute silence is the act of superconsciousness. This world is Maya or illusion, so its negation is also Maya or illusion. Suppression of consciousness of reaction is Maya as well. It can sprout out of mind from time to time. Maya is Shakti or energy, and it can ascend vertically upwards. It is a Kriya Shakti, and this is not different from source light. It is awareness and also a part of Brahma. Its dialectic possibility is Brahma. Maya is very merciful, it is graceful. One must worship Maya, then only it may give way for the transcendental journey to merge with the supernal. By its grace only one can cross the barrier of relative silence or awareness to be in the absolute silence or non-awareness. It helps to come or arrive at the doorstep of Samadhi. It is basically to ascend from para-apara level to parapara level of silence, that is from the conscious silence, that is with efforts, to the silence without awareness and without efforts. If it is achieved, then it is called Sahaj silence, which is nothing but the absolute silence. It is the stage of mergence of soul with the supernal. The para-apara silence, being at the state of awareness, controls the memories of the subconscious state that creates the sufferings in the relative silence. This silence has to work against memories and make the aspirant or sadhaka to suffer much more than experiencing the actual happenings of miseries. A memory of the subconscious state is the worst. However, deep sleep is very helpful to forget such memories to ascend to the zone of silence. Sleep without a dream is the best for complete relaxation and to be in silence without memories. Silence is the rest of mind, however conscious silence is illusion or Maya. The rest of the mind is basically out of any action and reaction even if the mind is awake. Such a state of mind is wakeful rest. Observations of fresh breath to enter and used breath to escape is the wakeful rest of the mind. This is Maya since it is wakeful and conscious activity with awareness. Also, rest of the mind even without action or reaction under these conditions is Maya, that is the relative silence. Any moment it can be disturbed. Even a single ferocious breath can completely destroy the silence. Maya, the relative silence, cannot take the spiritual aspirant to the stage of Samadhi. Even in Turiya or transcendental states it is partially an illusion or Maya. And the divine light is Mahamaya, it is much beyond the senses to conceive. Mahamaya is Mother, and by her grace the divine path becomes approachable. It is Para Shakti. It is Tirupura Sundari. All of us beg for her blessings for success in the spiritual path. One can only put his efforts, but granting grace is her prerogative and mercy. Maha Maya is an active part of Almighty, and only through this, silence can be achieved by following the vertical path and finally to reach unmanifested stage or godly stage, to be in absolute silence in the stage of Samadhi. One need not brood more on the past and try his best to forget the past to come over subconscious state and then overcome conscious state to finally land in the superconscious state of perfect silence. If one does not learn to be silent in his life, he is bound to suffer, particularly in old age, when even kith and kin will not listen and follow even his positive advice. The earlier one learns how to be silent, the better it is for positive and prospective living. The other inner meaning of silence can be taken as detachment. If one does not feel concern, he remains silent, and in other words, it can be said that he is not attached, he is fully detached. By mantra chanting, the inner silence can be enhanced. Silence is the power of God. One must be silent to be with the Almighty. Generally, worldly people lose silence in views of the various problems being experienced by their kith and kin. However, it must be remembered or known that kith and kin have their own prarabdha. We are just the instruments for their birth to bring them into this world. Furthermore, silence is taught and understood by the subjective attitude, by a physiological way of understanding the net situation. By objective means, silence cannot be cultivated. Our soul, being unmanifested subjective dormant light, is the institution of silence within us. It helps in silencing the mind, which in turn is the source and guide to put full stop for the wandering of senses unduly for worldly issues or problems. Consciousness is a very powerful instrument to maintain silence by self-effort. Para-silence in the hands of Turiya, Mahamaya can grace silence both in the vertical and horizontal journey of life. Sita, the life force, meets Rama in the Chida Akash through the Setu or bridge of Sushumna provided by Maya through conscious awareness of relative silence. Hanuman, the embodiment of silence, did show humility, even being capable of bringing Sanjeevani within a few hours. He did not act until Rama instructed him to bring for Lakshmana when he was unconscious. Silence is manifestation of capability and humility, and one must not misunderstand it even in worldly dealings. Even Ravana observed the power of silence during war with Rama, and instructed his own Vaidya or doctor to attend Lakshman when he was unconscious. Ravana understood that this war is the Dharma-yudha or religious war, so by the power of his mental silence and without irritation followed the ethics of the war. This is all because of inner silence that guided him in the moments of crisis. Being internally in the state of absolute silence, he knew Rama, the avatar of Vishnu the God, and wanted to be killed by him in the war. In short, Silence always gives positive results when you are not egoistic but silent. Agitated or disturbed breath can spoil the cultivated or developed silence. Yoga can evolve energy but cannot bring silence. Subtle ego developed out of jnana or knowledge is much more dangerous than the gross ego and can disrupt the silence within no time. Even great rishis like Narada have failed because of the subtle ego, which lead him to confront with Narayana, the God. In Maya or illusion, consciously one considers rope as snake, but when enlightenment approaches, ignorance disappears, even unconsciously one finds that rope is not a snake and vice versa. The best and the safest path to achieve silence is to be with God, surrender to Him, to come to Sharanagati to Him as a child, feel carefree and safest as a child with the mother. The mother takes full care in all respects and keeps the child comfortable. Surrender brings paramona, absolute silence. Death is the mode of permanent silence, however, suspension of breath is the path of silence. To be conscious of silence is relative silence. Sada Shiva, the mergence of Shiva and Shakti, soul and supernal, and the Samadhi, is the absolute silence. And it is easily possible if the life force penetrates Ichha Nadi or gate at Tahara Chakra, then it passes through Apurna Bhacheva Nadi that leads easily to supernal, mergence, Samadhi, and state of absolute silence. Thus, it is seen that various factors govern the silence, and all are in the hands of Almighty since abode of silence is the God Himself.